I rise today on a matter of personal and collective privilege. I rise as a Filipino who had been paying by way of enormous tax impositions and deprivation of proper services, the burden of a huge public debt. I rise on behalf of two generations that will come after us who will be saddled with paying the debts this administration has contracted and obligated. In special joint investment coordinating committee and technical board meeting of the President's Cabinet held on 26 of March 2007, the Department of Transportation and Communications took up with the economic team, particularly Finance Secretary Margarito Tebes and then NEDA Director General Romulo Neri, along with their support staff, the so-called National Broadband Network Project. Conceptualized in the view of Cyber Corridor Initiative enunciated by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo during her State of the Nation address on July 2006. The NBN is supposed to serve as a comprehensive solution to the national fast track the national address on July 2006. Indeed, on November 21, 2006, while presiding over a NEDA board meeting which she chairs, President Arroyo laid down the following conditions for a government broadband network. First, it should be established along a build, operate, transfer, or such similar undertaking using private funding. Second is there should be no government subsidies. Third is there should be no take or pay conditionalities and instead pay for use facility. And it should result in substantial reduction of government telecommunications expenses. Very good. However, the ICC meeting with DOTC and Telecommunications Office (TELOF) proponents on 26 of March 2007, what was presented as the NBN project completely changed the broad terms of reference set by President Arroyo on November 21, 2006. What Assistant Secretaries Lorenzo G. Formoso III and Elmer Soneja presented for ICC consideration was an NBN project that would cost the Republic of the Philippines an estimated 19.4 billion pesos, of which 19 billion would be sourced through foreign loans and 380 million pesos from the DOTC or TELOP budgets. It would also involve the utilization of Voice over Internet Protocol or VoIP-based single infrastructure network. To justify such huge project costs, the DOTC or TELOP officials cited savings from the retirement of an old government communications network, savings on communications expenses due to VoIP use, savings on internet connections, and centralized internet data center. On top of that, there will be no savings because of internet connections to be used by the public school systems. No financial analysis was submitted since the project will not generate revenues, but supposedly result in government savings on telecommunication expenses. It is estimated at a total of 3.7 billion pesos annually, but the DOTC or TELOF officials clarified that the government would be able to save only 50% of its fixed line telephone expenses and 80% of its telefax expenses. The NBN will not save on cell phone usage. The NEDA Secretary Romulo Neri wondered how savings could be generated on the retirement of an obsolete analog system carried by TELOF, as Secretary Formoso replied that they would no longer have to buy expensive spare parts. Secretary Neri wondered how huge savings would be generated from present internet usage, when in truth and in fact, very few government offices have internet connections. He also asked how the DOTC quantified the savings in education, and would this not overlap with the previously approved Department of Education Cyber Education project, the infrastructure cost of which was another 26 billion pesos. Undersecretary Paul Valderrama asked an even more basic question. Why must government have its own interconnectivity infrastructure when there are private sectors players in the industry? Using contorted reasoning, the answer was in effect. Because of the President's vision of a cyber corridor, her cabinet must simply operationalize. Mr. President, two eminent members of the Academy, Professors Raul Fabella and Emmanuel de Dios of the UP School of Economics, had already debunked the economic sanity of this project, and I shall no longer perorate on this. Far be it for this layman in economics to add or detract from their well-written and well-researched paper already made public. Suffice it to say that we have a broadband backbone in PLDT, another in Telopil, both well run by the private sector, even the National Power Corporation has its own. But because there was a cyber corridor grand vision, which we had to have a national broadband network and a separate cyber education project, the total cost of which would conservatively add to some 40 billion pesos and more when we count the maintenance and operating costs of these new government-owned facilities through the years. Both Secretary Teves and Secretary Neri asked about the very obvious overlaps between the two cyber corridor projects, one for DOTC and one for DepEd. Again, the reason advanced by the technical men of DOTC was that 1. The Chinese government wanted the NBN and the cyber education projects treated separately. 2. Secretary Hesley Lapus of DECS had indicated that he wanted the CEP network solely dedicated to his department. Kanya-kanyang ahensya, kanya-kanyang bilyong-bilyong proyekto, kanya-kanyang middleman, kanya-kanyang ringbang kurakot. May fixer sa NBN, may middleman rin sa CyberEd. Hindi pwedeng pagsamahin dahil sa sinasadyang pinag-ibang disenyo at teknolohiya. Ergo magkahiwalay ang komisyon. Si NBN ang fixer ay isang ubod ng makapangyarihang opisyal tuwing 3 taon, tuwing may halalan. Sa CyberEd naman, iba naman ang taga-ayos. Pero saka na natin talakayin ito. Mr. President, I have here the minutes of ICC Cabinet Committee and Technical Board meeting of 26 of March 2007. Despite the clear objections and apprehensions of your erudite gentlemen in finance and economic planning, the DOTC proceeded post-haste with their NBN project. On the same day, 26 of March, the DOTC, through a Secretary Soneha, proceeded to eliminate other proponents of the NBN. It told Amsterdam Holdings Incorporated that its proposal was incomplete. On April 3, AHI took exception to Soneha's finding and requested proper re-evaluation. On April 10, Soneha rejected AHI's position. On April 20, 2007, Ambassador Christy Kenny of the United States of America wrote to Secretary Romulo Neri expressing her government's interest in the NBN and asking the national government to avoid undue haste and take time to carefully review other proposals, which would include the proposal of Arescom Incorporated, an American company which had likewise been eliminated by DOTC. On the same day, we asked the members of the President's Cabinet whose conscience are tightly bothered and who yet appreciate the meaning of karma to be now possessed by the courage of their own convictions and tell the truth, the whole truth, no matter how sordid and no matter who gets hurt. Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Republic of the Philippines, if all these are what constitute legacy, then the Filipino people would rather have none.